If you struggle with health anxiety like I do, you've probably spent a lot of time researching how to stay healthy and stay in control. There's one supplement that's made the biggest difference in my life. It's simple, it's cheap, and most people aren't getting enough of it. It's vitamin D. Before I started taking it, I would get sick regularly, a couple times every year, and sometimes more. And if you deal with health anxiety like I do, you know how stressful even a mild cold can be. Every tickle in the throat becomes something to worry about. Every cough feels like a warning sign. But since starting vitamin D, everything changed. I almost never get sick. And if I do, it's incredibly mild. Maybe some sniffles or a mild body aches for a few hours, and then it's gone. No fever or drawn-out recovery. No spiraling into panic mode thinking it's something serious. I really do believe vitamin D is the reason why. Let's talk about why it works. First, vitamin D is absolutely essential for your immune system. It helps regulate both the innate and adaptive immune responses. Basically, it helps your body recognize invaders and mount the right kind of defense. Not too weak, not too extreme. That balance is important, especially with viruses. For example, in COVID-19, part of the damage came not from the virus itself, but from the immune system overreacting, what's called a cytokine storm. Vitamin D helps modulate that response and may reduce the risk of that kind of dangerous overreaction. In fact, during the height of the pandemic, multiple studies found that people who were deficient in vitamin D had significantly higher risks of hospitalization, complications, and even death from COVID-19. There was a clear pattern. People with healthy vitamin D levels had better outcomes. That's not to say vitamin D prevents COVID or any other illness completely, but it does seem to strengthen your defenses and improve how your body handles threats. That's huge, especially if you're someone who tends to fixate on every symptom. But the benefits of vitamin D go beyond the immune system. There's also growing evidence that vitamin D plays a role in cancer prevention. One of the ways it helps is by promoting something called apoptosis, which is basically the body's way of telling damaged or abnormal cells to self-destruct before they can cause problems. That process is a natural line of defense against cancer. Research has linked healthy vitamin D levels to a lower risk of several types of cancer, including breast, colon, and prostate cancer. Some studies even show that people with higher levels of vitamin D tend to have better survival rates when cancer is diagnosed. Now, I'm not claiming vitamin D is a miracle cure, but if something so simple can play even a small role in preventing serious illness, I'm all in. There's also evidence that vitamin D can help reduce chronic inflammation. And that's a big deal, because inflammation is at the root of so many health conditions, from autoimmune disorders to cardiovascular disease, even depression and fatigue. When your vitamin D levels are optimal, your body is less likely to stay stuck in that low-grade, constant inflammatory state. That means less joint pain, better mood, and better energy. Speaking of mood, did you know vitamin D is often called the sunshine vitamin because it's linked to mental well-being? Some studies suggest that low vitamin D is associated with increased risk of depression, especially during the winter months. Seasonal affective disorder, or SAD, is often treated in part with vitamin D supplementation. Personally, I've noticed that my mood and mental clarity are more stable when I stay consistent with my vitamin D. I'm not saying it cured my anxiety, but I do feel more grounded, less foggy, and less likely to spiral into obsessive worry. Now let's talk about how you actually get vitamin D, because most people think, I go outside so I must be fine. But it's not that simple. Your body can only produce vitamin D from direct exposure to UVB rays, the kind that reach the Earth when the sun is at its highest point in the sky, usually between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. And even then, it depends on where you live. If you live above about 37 degrees latitude, basically north of Atlanta, you're probably not making any vitamin D from sunlight for several months out of the year, no matter how sunny it looks outside. The angle of the sun is just too low in the winter. Plus, sunscreen, which most of us use to protect our skin, blocks the UVB rays that trigger vitamin D production. Even sitting by a sunny window won't help, because glass filters out UVB, and if you're wearing clothes that cover most of your body, or you have darker skin, your vitamin D production may be even lower. So yes, the sun helps, but only if the conditions are just right. For most of us, especially during colder months, it's not enough. What about food? Again, not much there. Fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines have small amounts. Egg yolks and fortified dairy products can help a bit. But the typical diet doesn't come close to providing enough vitamin D to reach optimal blood levels. That's why supplementation is not just helpful, it's necessary. I take 5,000 IU daily, and on Wednesdays and Saturdays, I take 10,000 IU to round out my weekly total to 45,000 IU. That's based on the rule of 1,000 IU per 25 pounds of body weight, which is a safe and simple guideline for most adults. Now, some people get nervous about high doses. They hear the word toxicity and worry they're doing harm. But the truth is, vitamin D toxicity is extremely rare. Most experts agree that it's safe to take up to 10,000 IU per day long term. To experience toxicity, you'd need to take over 30,000 IU daily for months, and even then, symptoms are typically reversible. The only way to know for sure where you stand is to get tested. Ask your doctor for a 25-hydroxy vitamin D test, also called a 25-OHD test. That will tell you your blood levels. The optimal range for most people is around 50 to 80 nanograms per milliliter. Anything below 30 is considered deficient, and many people are walking around with levels in the teens, or even lower, without knowing it. So here's what I recommend. Get tested, start supplementing, stick with it, and track how you feel over time, not just physically, but mentally too. As someone with health anxiety, I've spent years obsessing over symptoms, Googling late at night, trying to find some sense of safety. For me, vitamin D has been one of the most impactful changes I've made. It's not hype, it's science, and it works. I'm not a doctor, I'm just someone who's been there and finally found something that helped. If you've had success with vitamin D or have questions about it, drop them in the comments. And if you found this video helpful, hit like and subscribe so more people can find it too. Take your D, stay calm, you are not alone.